Hello, welcome to Learning Hub GH. If you have not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe so that you get updated whenever we upload a new video. So today we are going to look at elements of cost. Yeah, elements of cost. So cost is composed of three elements. One, material cost. Two, labor cost. And three, expenses cost. So we're going to look at material cost. So material cost is defined as all physical substances that go into the production of goods and services. So that's a definition for material cost. All physical substances that goes into the production of goods and services. So examples of material cost are cost of raw materials, spare parts, and supplies. Material is grouped into two. So material cost is grouped into two. We have the direct material cost and then indirect material cost. So we're going to look at the direct material cost. Direct material cost, it is a material cost which can be traced with a cost center or cost unit. So a direct material cost can be traced with a cost center or cost unit. Direct materials generally become part of the finished product. So mostly direct materials, they become parts of the finished product. Example, leather in making belt. So when you take a belt, you see that the leather generally or mostly is part of the finished product. You can touch the leather, you can see it. So the leather becomes part of the finished product. So one example is leather in making belt, and also clay in making brick. All of these are examples of direct material cost. Indirect material cost, it is a material cost which cannot be easily traced or identified with a cost center or cost unit. They are small and inexpensive items which may not become part of the finished product. So examples are polish, pins, threads, bolts, and nuts, sandpaper, coal, etc. So when you take a shoe for example, you can't see the polish that was used to polish the shoe. You can't touch the polish that was used to polish the shoe. So polish is an example of indirect material cost. Pins are also example of indirect material cost. Threads, bolts and nuts, sandpaper, coal, they are all example of indirect material cost. So labor cost. Labor cost is defined as the cost of remuneration of the activities of the employees of an undertaking. Labor cost is divided into two. So you have the direct labor cost and the indirect labor cost. So I'm going to look at what direct labor cost is. Direct labor cost, it is defined as the part of labor cost which can easily be traced with a cost center or cost unit. So direct labor cost is the part of labor cost which can be easily traced with a cost center or cost unit. So it consists of wages paid to workers directly engaged in the conversion of raw materials into finished product. So it includes wages paid to workers who are directly engaged in the converting of raw materials into finished products. So examples are wages paid to machine operators, wages paid to tailors, wages paid to carpenters, wages paid to shoemakers, etc. Indirect labor cost. Indirect labor cost, it is defined as a part of labor cost that cannot be easily traced or identified with a cost center or cost unit. It is also known as unproductive labor. So you can be asked in an objective test the other name for indirect labor cost, and it is known as unproductive labor. So examples are wages of supervisors, wages of foremen, wages of cleaners, wages of security men, and etc. Expenses. So expenses is also the third element of cost. Expenses can be defined as all other costs other than materials and wages. So all other costs other than materials and wages is expenses. Examples are insurance, rent and rates, depreciation, etc. Expenses can be categorized into two: direct expenses and indirect expenses. Direct expenses. Direct expense are expenses which can directly be traced or identified with a cost unit or a cost center. It is also known as chargeable expenses. Example of direct expenses include cost of special drawings, cost of patent rights, royalties paid in mining, etc. Indirect expenses. Indirect expenses are expenses that cannot be easily traced or identified with a cost unit or a cost center. Examples of indirect expenses are rent and rates, depreciation, insurance, repairs, lighting, advertising, and so on. So this is the end of the lesson. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos.